In this video, we are going to talk about what functional fine motor skills are and the developmental milestones. Functional fine motor skills refer to tasks and activities that require upper extremities to engage in. In the school environment, these tasks can include playing with toys and games, printing, cutting, coloring, using utensils, engaging closing fasteners, wiping following toileting, dressing, and most gross motor activities such as basketball and tag. Fine motor skills specifically related to printing is addressed in the video Pencil Grasp, so we won't be discussing about these skills in this video. But let's take a look at other functional fine motor skills and strategies to support these. The first skill we will discuss here is cutting. If exposed to opportunities, a child can start snipping paper with scissors around 2 years of age. They will have the coordination skills necessary to understand how scissors work. By 3, he or she is able to cut a piece of paper in half, and by 4, cut big circles and cut along a straight line. By kindergarten, a child should be able to cut out small circles and basic shapes, and eventually complex shapes. By 6, we should see good cutting skills where there are no deviations from the cutting line. When working with cutting skills, use the developmental milestones to assess where the student is at. If a grade 1 child is unable to cut curves, I would backtrack to evaluate cutting skills on a straight line first. For students that struggle with coordinating their fingers to make the snipping movement, implement fine motor tasks such as tongs or clothespins. Other simple strategies can include cutting on thicker paper such as index cards or manila tag paper, and drawing thicker lines for the student to cut on. The next skill we're going to talk about is utensil usage. At 2, a child should be able to use a spoon correctly. By 4, he or she can use a fork, and by 6, use a knife to cut food. After 6, there's refining of utensil skills, whereby the child can use all eating utensils appropriately. If a child has difficulty using utensils, try practicing with items such as Play-Doh. You can roll up small balls to practice scooping with or obtaining with the fork. Other strategies include using thicker consistency foods to practice a spoon with. For instance, practice scooping with thicker liquids such as chocolate pudding, applesauce, or oatmeal. Similarly, to practice obtaining food with a fork, try using dry, flat, and large solid items such as a piece of meat, as opposed to round and wet items such as grapes. And if the student isn't already doing so, you can encourage bilateral hand skills by having the child use his or her helper hand on the bowl while the dominant hand uses the utensil. The next skill we will talk about is dressing, which includes engaging clothing fasteners. Dressing is a great skill to work on through natural routines like recess and toileting. Between 4 to 5, a child should be able to complete dressing tasks independently. This includes putting on outerwear and pulling up pants. With respect to clothing fasteners, children should be able to zip and unzip large zippers at the age of 2, fasten, unfasten large buttons by the age of 4, and engage the zipper between the ages of 5 to 6. Lastly, though a lost skill, children should be able to tie shoelaces by the age of 5 if exposed to this task. There are many toys that can help facilitate these skills, such as the dressing bear, Melissa and Doug clothing fastener puzzle, the dressing cube, and other similar toys. The last fine motor related self-help skill we will discuss here is wiping. Most children generally pick up the wiping skill between the ages 3.5 to 4, although many begin trying sooner than that. Some children require the task to be broken down into steps in order to learn how to properly wipe. Of course, these strategies should be communicated with the parents so they can also work on this task at home, as sometimes it may be more suitable. The first step is to ensure that the child knows where he or she is wiping and that he or she has a range of motion necessary to reach into that area. Next, ensure that the child knows how much toilet paper to obtain. This can be done by giving the child a specific amount to pull or using a simple visual like this. Lastly, ensure that the child has the motor skills necessary to manipulate the piece of toilet paper in order to wipe. A fun activity I've done in the past involves having a child use one hand, along with toilet paper, to clean chocolate pudding off a desk.